let me welcome Jabe. My first time getting to meet Jabe. How are you, my friend?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm
It's
doing
good
good,
to
sir.
see you. Thanks for
Good to
being
see you too.
here. Thanks for jumping into the hot seat. This helps us all learn, and it's I always say the moment somebody becomes a true writer is when they crave the harsh critique, because all they really care about is the best end result. Give us a little context around this project.
Yeah, so the product is an opening repertoire for chess players, mostly post beginners to intermediate to advanced players, level players. Uh, so when I did the research, one of the things that stood out is that they're having problems with coping with the amount of stuff they have to learn
Hmm.
in the opening phase of the game, specifically for for this opening, which we built the product on. So
Okay,
yeah,
wow. So
I
the
led
product
with
built around one specific opening, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of you having to explain
yeah.
chess to me, but is I feel like I'm only one member of how to control the opening. Is that false? Is there a almost agreed upon way to open, or if your first move is this, then the other person is most likely going to do that, and that's your opening, or is it just about where you put your piece and that's all that matters?
There are some ways to classify openings. This one's pretty broad, but yeah, it's supposed to be broad. But yeah, the approach we've taken here, or at least the author's approach, is to try to streamline everything by picking something that's not commonly played, but at the same time, it cuts down the study time and
Yeah.
gives the user, plenty of chances to score for a knockout, score a
Okay.
knockout.
So the big benefit of this particular product is, of course, like any, having an advantage, winning, being
Yeah,
looked upon fondly by your opponents and comrades. But also streamlining your study. If you don't have a lot of time to really master this game, this will give you an edge.
that is true. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, let's bring on our good friend Jimmy Parent.
Hey,
Hey,
that's me. Can you hear me?
Jimmy,
Yes,
we hear you,
sir.
buddy.
Awesome. Yeah, hey, I wanted to jump in real quick. So, Kevin, with the E4, E5, like, that's such a cool headline and opening, because if you're brand new, that means nothing to you. Case in
Right.
point, you're like, I don't even know what
I'm not
this
gonna.
is.
Yeah.
But as you start learning chess and you're getting up into, there's rankings, and so as your ELO score gets up to like 900 to 1200, E4, E5 is, they call it New York style. It's like one of the go-to openings. It's like E4, E5. Well, then there's a specific subset of moves that you can make from there. But what's tricky about this is, if, so you go E4, E5, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go, was it like F3 or D, D3 or something like that. And they do a move, and you're like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like, to counter that or to prepare for that attack. And so you start making the wrong moves, and then you end up setting yourself up for like a checkmate
Yeah.
and 6 or 7 moves. And so that E4, E5, it's easy to screw yourself
Mm.
out of a good game. And so what this course, like what I see in the copy of what this course is doing, is it's like, hey, look, there's a ton of theory, a ton of different, theory in chess is just like theory in guitar, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of different moves you can make
Right.
based on this architecture, right?
Right.
And so there's 1,000 ways to screw it up, but there's an easy way to remember which one is which with this simple framework. So it's taking like decades of theory and condensing it into something that a beginner, an intermediate beginner, can actually
Yeah.
remember. Does that
Cool.
make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Great analogy with guitar. I also think about football, American NFL football, where what you establish early in the game may be sort of a dummy strategy, or it may be an aggressive strategy. It's kind of similar, right? Football is very much a chess game in that regard.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Okay. So thank you for that context. Jabe, please tell us when you presented this copy for critique, what you were struggling with or wanted help with.
Well, first I ran this by Jimmy and Tianyan via the forums. At first, I was struggling with the lead. Jimmy thought that I gave away the product, or at least the mechanism of the product, way too early. So I worked on that. Since then, I've tried rebuilding the sales letter using bullets, like I've learned from the bullet writing masterclass, which is just fantastic. I tried to apply the stuff I learned from there, specifically the write the outline in bullets and then write in between, flesh it out in between. So I'm
Yes.
just yeah. So basically, have you guys bullet check it, see if it's
Yep. Cool.
if
Just
it's
going to give everybody a
working.
little context if they're not in Copy Chief, haven't seen the training. Bullet checking is something I used all the time because I had a writing partner. And so he would send me his first draft. And one of the first things I would do with the first draft, there's always fat in the first draft, of course. And so I would bullet check it. And I knew once we got to closer to a final draft, every 3 to 4 at most paragraphs you could pull a bullet out of, unless you were really telling a story. But for the most part, what keeps your eyes moving down the page is there's new information and there's takeaways happening throughout the copy. And so you bullet check it to make sure that that's consistent through your copy, especially longer form sales letters. Cool. All right. So I'm going to bring it up here.
You figure out how to screen share that?
Yeah. Let me get this going.
Sweet.
Not quite as instinctive as the old... should I go to this? I'll just go I'll go to the, let's go to the thread. That way we can kind of see the progress. I think, is that best, Jimmy? Do you want to go back up to the last thing?
Or we could,
or do you want to see the document itself?
I think the document itself might be easiest.
Okay. Give me 1 second, everybody, and we'll get to that. Yes, stop showing me that warning. Thank you. Okay. All right, here we go.
There we go.
So the current headline now has been, I saw how this has been whittled down. It's E4, E5, now what? Yeah, Jimmy?
Yep.
And
yeah,
so,
I'm in the doc too.
Okay, cool. I got it on screen there. Oh, cool. You're there. You're an anonymous pumpkin.
Yes, I am.
Weirdly, my nickname for you. Okay, cool. So yeah, tell us where we're at and what changes we've made to get it here.
I'm
Jabe?
sorry, I didn't quite get that. Yeah, for
Jimmy or Jabe, like I guess what's the biggest takeaway and what we've changed and done so far to change the lead?
For the lead, the paragraph directly beneath the headline, so it hinted at it being an opening repertoire right away. So I cleared that out, instead referring to it as a forgotten 40-year-old system.
400
And 400-year-old system. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, right.
Also, the language used in that was a bit more how do I say this, chess playery, instead of like being as simple as it could be, like here, where I talked about theory and stuff in there, instead of just saying that it clears away the confusion after 1E4 E5. I was also missing the bit about pumping up your win rate by up to 70%, because that just came out of a video session I did with the author just the other day. So I added that in. Yeah.
Great. Cool. And Jimmy, yeah, so interesting, because we're talking to, as you just demonstrated with me, we want to be speaking the language of chess for people who really get it and get jacked about it.
Yeah.
Why then simplify this to be more digestible?
So, all right. So going into that intermediate stage, it's sort of like its own levels of sophistication of the game,
Mhm.
and so saying E4, E5 is a fantastic qualifier because it's only speaking to those people who know what that even means,
Mhm.
which is that 900, 1200 range. Um, I'm struggling to remember exactly what was there before. I'll admit to you that. But
I could,
generally, whenever I'm looking at these leads, like he gave something away. I don't remember what it was, and he's like, "Well, how do I talk about this in the lead?"
mhm.
And it's like, well, you can tease that you're going to talk about it, right?
Mhm.
It's like, first I'm going to show you, this 400-year-old secret, and then I'm going to reveal the person who discovered it, and
Mhm.
I'm going to show you how they discovered it, because once you see how it works, you'll know exactly how to implement it into your own games, right? So we're like kind of teasing things without actually telling people what it is. Other than that, it was a lot of $10 words,
Yep.
and so he definitely simplified a lot of that out of this, clarified this.
Cool. This is the original, just for everybody's reference.
Okay.
Um, so it was also a little bit more salesy. I hate to use that word in the headline, right? This happening, that happening, not anymore, right? Which is fine because again, if this matters to you, you're reading. But what I like about the new version is that it's just directly speaking the language and getting to the benefits without the need to explain as much. It's more it's just putting it in story form. Is that how you felt about it, Jabe? Is it kind of the change? It just flowed better into context.
Yeah, the no now what part, I think it just captures the mindset of the player in that situation when he's very confused, so I went with it.
Yeah, that was the other big thing. Jabe, I don't remember if it was you I recorded this video on, or I sent a link or something like that.
It
Kevin,
was
I
me,
was
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so Kevin, I kind of laid out for him that, all right, in this case, we're not necessarily sending or speaking to a static avatar, right? This is someone who's consistently in a situation that is frustrating, right? And it's like a chronic problem, and it keeps happening. And he's banging his head against the wall. I'm like, why? I can't figure this out. I'm
Right.
studying. I'm doing everything I can, and I keep falling into these traps. And so it's like, all right, this person is in that situation, right? And when it happens again, what can you say to that person right in that moment?
Hmm.
That kind of tells him, hey, it's going to be okay. Let me
Right.
show you a secret. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, truly acting as the mentor.
The mentor, right? Exactly. I love that. Demonstrating your ability to mentor and instead of just promising and saying,
Mm.
trust me, I have this experience and you having to put it together. Instead, just demonstrate. You're demonstrating, which is a brilliant thing to demonstrate when you're talking about chess, because you don't just have, because you do kind of go on to almost give away the lesson. I noticed, Jabe. Is that still in there later in the copy?
Yeah, I did talk about a few moves into the opening,
Yeah.
from a theoretical standpoint, from a chess player standpoint. Yeah.
Which is again just demonstrating that you have this experience, actually giving them
Yeah.
something of value, letting them viscerally feel what it'd be like to have this person in your corner. Very cool. And so you feel good about it now. And what's the next step for this copy? Is it live? Will this be tested or?
It will go live next week. I'm just waiting on some testimonials from the author. I actually
Okay.
sent him the 4 questions you discussed in the question authority method. So hopefully, I get
Oh,
some
great.
juicy testes from him. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Dude, that's really cool. And, just be aware that sometimes this is rare, but it's amazing when it happens. You'll get a testimonial that's so good
Oh
that
yeah.
you'll feel the urge to rewrite everything.
Yeah.
But run this, right? I'm like the captain of overthinking things and procrastinating because of it. So like, just trust me, run this, and then experiment later.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jabe, man. This is very cool. And I think your copy is great. I think, you got a great style, and you're clearly, are you a freelance copywriter? Is that or are you somehow tied to this product?
I am working in-house for an edtech company based in London.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, you're doing great. And I appreciate you sharing that. And as Chan Yan said, please share the live page when it goes live so we can see it with graphics and all that too. Awesome.
Hey,